Make sure you can feel the rib cage with light pressure.
All right, bro. Sorry, man. This is not a good day. And honestly, I ain't, so I'm sorry. It's a very bad day. I'm honestly have to get better to die, dudes. Don't lie. You just keep going downhill. I honestly do. Okay, let's see what we got here. Jimmy Johns, I ain't got no cat. I'm not turning it on, bro. Okay, I just want to see how many community tokens I got in that stuff. I'm gonna switch servers, bros. This is the open server, it's not the test. Okay. Now let's see, community tokens. We got 1,343. That's all I just want to see, Russ. Let me exit here. This there's one guy here. Just give me a second. I'll get started about that as well. There we go. Okay, Warship test server. There we go. All right. Let's see what we can do this. Got that. Pretty sure we did. Base 0.5 base to brother. Why not? Oh, I got assist listening to that. I come across on the was on this day stint, Mickey Stein. There we go.
There's no excuse. Let's dive in. Okay. We are talking about the murder of Judge Kevin Mullins, 54-year-old district court judge in Letcher County, Kentucky, who on September 19th of last year was gunned down by his friend. I feel like, there we go. He was gunned down by his friend and the sheriff of Letcher County, a guy named Mickey Steins. Okay. Now, Mickey Steins is on trial. Well, I mean, the trial hasn't started, but he's facing charges of murder. I mean, this is not a whodunit kind of a case, right? He is on security camera actually shooting to death a sitting district judge. The question has always been why he done it. Why you done it, Mickey? And it's starting to become a little more clear now as to why he did it. Now, what's been happening is that Mickey Stein's lawyer, a guy named Jeremy Bartley, here he is with his law partner and wife, Carrie Bartley. They are representing Mickey Stein's, and he has been all over the place talking about the case. I don't know what it is about Kentucky, but he apparently is perfectly fine going around talking about the case. And there are a couple of interviews that he did that I would like to share with you today. I'm going to get my headphones on. We're going to go over a couple of interviews, and then we are going to go over a notice that Mr. Bartley filed with the, I just feel like there we go. That Mr. Bartley filed with the Commonwealth of Kentucky in the Letcher County Circuit Court. Okay, so I think where we're going to start is right over here. Let's bring it up. This is an interview. It's about 5 minutes long that Mr. Bartley did with Brian Enton on News Nation. He did this I think it was on March 5th, so it's been about a week out there, but it gives us a little bit of a clue as to why his client, Mickey Steins, the sheriff of Letcher County, unholstered his weapon and lobbied 8 rounds into Judge Kevin Mullins. Now, this is going to be a discussion tonight, like it is on most nights. So if you would please put GF in your comments. That would help me to see it over here on my side. To starboard. And yeah, I appreciate you guys are checking in. So here we go. Let's go over to here and we'll listen to what Mr. Bartley has to say. Here we go.
Outrageous crimes involving these in this town. How does that connect back to?
I already have to stop. What do we get into that thing? 8 seconds. I already have to stop because I didn't pick everything. If you're not familiar with this case, what happened is there was a deputy of Mr. Steins, a man named Ben Fields, Deputy Ben Fields. And Mr. Fields was convicted of SA. Some of the women that were in the Letcher County jail. He was the guy that did the ankle monitoring for the county.
Basically had a sex ring going, bro, and
I can find it anyway.
I ain't standing calling my band. They sort of threatening his life and stuff. I'm not
Sabrina
sure,
Atkins, late
deal with
Jennifer
that.
Hill,
That's about the
filed a
just
suit
I'm getting
with
from
their
it
attorney,
and
Mr.
so
Ned
forth.
Posterstorff.
As the
And
judge
it's a
and
federal civil
deputies, I
rights
think
lawsuit. We've gone over it
but,
quite a bit here
I'm
on
not
the
sure.
channel. Basically alleging
Speculation
that
on
Mickey
my behalf,
Steins, part of it anyway, that Mickey Steins either knew or should have known what Mr. Fields was up to with these women, okay? One of the women, Sabrina Atkins, said in a proffer that was recorded by the Kentucky Attorney General's office's investigators that she saw video evidence of basically sexual intercourse inside the same judge's chambers that we see on this video of Mickey Steins shooting Judge Mullins. She claims that
she had
was indeed Judge Mullins. So there's a lot going on in Letcher County. There's like this huge I don't even know what to call it. There are rumors of very powerful people in the county, all of them men that I know about, abusing their authority in this kind of weird second deposed on a Monday in that federal lawsuit, and he shot and killed Judge Mullins on Thursday. Okay, that's where we are. All right, let's continue.
Well, that's graphic, man. It truly is.
You know what I
Don't
should
watch
do?
it, those unless if you're.
I need to make it so that I can see this better. Here, give me just a second.
You can honestly watch him take his life, bro.
Ladies over 50,
There's
don't
no
drink
getting
this
around
Japanese
it.
tea.
Spotter returning
You will
to
have
ship.
belly by the end of the month. I've developed a 4-ingredient recipe that's 10 times more powerful than Ozempic
And it is
and
right
Manjaro
there.
combined. That's right.
And that one.
And before you think that this
That he
is
does.
just another one of those.
So I'm gonna pull that. Okay.
He's
So I
like
am
playing
going
peeky
to just
boo
pull
out of
that
church
back
with
8
him,
seconds,
shooting him, bro.
and here we go.
On all these outrageous crimes by level officials in this town, how does that connect back to the sheriff shooting the judge?
Well, I think the important key to remember is that earlier in this week there was a deposition. My client was to give a deposition in the civil case. Leading up to that deposition, there's multiple witnesses, family, members of the community, folks that he worked with.
Autopilot mode
that saw
enabled.
my client and the
So
struggle, the
but they're
stress, the
supposed to give a
strain,
deposition in a civil
the
case.
sleepless nights he had.
I would say
He felt
that
very
with
much
one
threatened about
accusation.
what he might say.
Now, before we
sex
finish
and,
what
judge
Mr.
chapters.
Bartley's going to say here, remember that we've had Ned Pillersdorf here on the
Back
channel,
not
and
a
he
decade
told
ago
us.
where they
He
did the same
told
thing
us
in
on
Rico
this
County,
channel.
and,
He also told us when I was on a panel with him
they
over on Surviving the
they went
Survivor
through that,
that
and
that
judge,
Mr. Steins was not behaving the
referral
way
with
a
a
normal
married
officer
woman
of the
and
law
was
typically
trying to get him
does.
knocked
He
out.
was very
And
out
then
of
a
sorts.
few,
He was
5-6
noticeably
years later, he had a
different than
yeah,
he
bailiff.
had behaved in the past. And Mr.
he was
Pillersdorf
banging
knew Mr.
the
Steins
the
because
inmates
he
as
had
coming up to
he
go in
had
front
done
of
all
the judge.
sorts of legal stuff in Letcher
And
County
it was a woman
as
judge,
a
by the
defense.
way.
Okay, so here we go.
He got kind of
Would
face
he
down,
say
ass
too
up.
much
for one.
that would put his family in
no
danger?
getting
You
around
heard
it.
Sabrina Atkins in that interview just before
And at the end of the
you
day, there you
switched
go,
to
bro.
speak with me.
Yeah.
She talked about the dangerous men there. So this deposition takes place on Monday, and as the week goes on, Mickey continued to be in fear that he had said something, or that
I think
further discovery in that civil case
I
would
agree
something
with
he would
him
say
there
would
on
ruffle the
that.
feathers of some dangerous men.
That
And
he felt he
ultimately,
may
he
have
was in fear for the safety of his wife and his daughter.
said he'd said
And I
something,
think
did
what you
something
see
at that
there is
deposition that was going to
the result
cost
of
him
that.
his family and that.
Okay, so
Torpedoes,
what
direct
Mr.
front.
Bartley is saying is Mr. Steins going into this deposition, knowing that he was under oath, that he was going to have to tell the truth and answer questions honestly and completely when he was asked them. If anything slipped out in that deposition, that powerful men in Letcher County, or let's just say in the area, knew that he knew if he let any of that out, he was concerned about the safety of his
Yeah,
wife
selling
and
pussy
daughter.
at the courthouse. I mean,
That is the
that's-
claim that they are making. That's the claim that they will probably make in court.
That's a
So
big one on
the
the
motive.
judge, bros.
Well, we'll talk about the motive in just a minute. Let's
You
keep
know,
going
that,
with Mr.
that
Bartley.
is definitely a big one on the judge.
Yeah, and
If
just so
the
people
judge
understand, there was this
knows
civil lawsuit ongoing about corruption
that he is.
and the deputies accused of having sex with inmates and all sorts of shady stuff. So there's the civil suit that's ongoing. There had already been a criminal investigation and arrests. And the sheriff was being called in for a deposition, and you're saying that he was concerned about it. Did he have information about other high-level people, perhaps even the judge, that were involved in all of this? Is that why he was so concerned?
I love Brian Eden's
Blaze
question. He does a very good job.
Direct front.
Yes, all the right questions. That's great.
Ship is on
Well, I
fire.
think the bigger concern was from other people as to what he might say. And I think certainly there was information that that Mickey had that he knew that other people didn't
That's what
want
it
to
is.
be made public.
Chiropractor.
And if in fact they felt that some of the stuff that he said during the deposition, hurt them or exposed them for what they were doing, then there certainly was a threat that Mickey perceived, one that was both perceived and real. And, he was afraid for the safety of his wife and daughter.
Now that I can't.
You know what just occurred to me here, guys, is that, I mean, you've heard me say a million times that the vast majority of cases never make it to trial. This is one where I feel like it's going to make it to trial. And I think the reason it's going to make it to trial is I think Mr. Steins is going to want that information to get out there for his defense. Those kinds of things that he knows about dangerous people in and around Letcher County.
You got to remember, he had some dangerous in the courthouse.
Probably all.
Also,
I think that at this point, I think he would want it out there.
I do too.
And so I think this probably will make it to a trial. And the motions and the suppression motions and things like that are going to be crazy. This is going to last a good long time.
Were they trying to pin any of these sex crimes on him? Does that play into it?
I don't know.
Well, I think the bigger concern that we're talking about here, I've not seen any evidence that my client was implicated in any of the, the corrupt sex practices that they had. I've not seen anything to that degree, but
that's an interesting way to answer it, right? I haven't seen any evidence that would implicate my client in and then speaks as a fact, the corrupt sex acts that were going on. He is saying it as a fact, and I find that very interesting.
The fear was that Mickey is under oath. What will?
I'm like him. If it was implicated, it's too late to start shooting people now. I mean, it's too late to shoot people now, isn't it? I mean, my goodness. At that point, it's time to piss off the floor and go select a new jury. Hey, you're done, my friend. Okay, we got that. See if we got the. That one. Oh, we got it too. So okay. But I don't see it. I honestly don't. Not one moment. I mean, it's above him, bro. It would do him no good.
What will they ask him? What will he say in response? Will he talk about? You're talking about a district judge's chambers where there's a live security feed as a result of what was going on back there. That's unheard of. And it just speaks to, the level of things that were happening behind the scenes that these folks would very well could cause physical harm to keep secret. And
that's a very good point, right? And maybe it gets lost on us a little bit. It certainly gets lost on me. I don't want to speak for you, but how many judges' chambers in the United States have a security camera in them? I'm not talking like in the antechamber where the assistant is and the conference room is, but like the judge's office. How many have security cameras in there? And I would guess, well, if you believe Mr. Bartley, it's unheard of. It doesn't happen, right? So my guess is this doesn't exist throughout the rest of the nation, and it's because of what was happening in there. And it was proven that at least Ben Fields was doing stuff in there. There have been allegations that there have been others.
And Mickey was placed in this situation, and simultaneously, because of the stress, because of other factors that I don't want to get into tonight, but his mental health had taken a toll as well. And so what you see is a result of both extreme pressure that was placed upon him, the fear of what other people might do around him, and the impact of mental health as well.
Did he know something about the judge being involved in all of this?
Enton knows that he's not going to answer that question, but he still has to ask it. That's a responsible question to
whole
ask.
sex scandal. I mean, is that why he did this? I mean, because like you said, he knew he was on camera. I mean, he was right in the chambers. Is there something he knew about this judge?
I think that certain people within that community were.
Did you see that smile? Did you see that smile? Hold on. Let's go back just a little bit to the question. Watch Mr. Bartley's face.
He knew about this judge?
I think that certain people within that community
that?
were concerned that he would say things that will be harmful to the people surrounding the judge and the folks in the courthouse at large. And what you see is the result of a man who believed that his wife and daughter had been or would be kidnapped or killed and hurt. And, at that point, he had not been able to get in contact with them. And he was scared for their safety. And, and that's why we said from the beginning, this is classic EED at worst, and at best we think it's a criminal responsibility, insanity defense that's there.
Yeah, I wonder if the strategy of Mr. and Mrs. Bartley being out in the media so much maybe has to do with keeping their clients safe, trying to get it out into the community that there are dangerous men in the community, and thereby keeping their clients safe, like trying to just get it out. Like, there's something going on in my personal life where I am a side character in a bit of a drama that's happening in a congregation that we used to go to back in California. And I might be the only one who is just like, no, put everything out there that you have on me. Just dump it. I don't even care. Right? Because if it's out there, whatever you think you have. And if you guys want to know about this, I'll tell you the story sometime. It's hilarious. But by it being out there, it makes it so nobody can hurt me.
Right.
There's no threat. Right.
Don't
So
anything.
anyway, that's what I'm wondering if they are trying to keep their clients safe that way. Because remember, he is in a neighboring county's jail, and right now I'm blanking on it. Is it like Love County or something like that? I can't remember, but he's in a county jail nearby. I'm sure that they are concerned for his safety. Let's take a look. We're going to bring up our victim here, and let's take a look at your comments. Let me just go through, see what you guys are saying here. Haunted housewife, I think I should say haunted housewife, said, OMG, I made my first live. Just found you a few days ago, and I've been binge watching your Maddie Soda videos. Well, thank you very much. I am honored to be your new favorite. Let me see if there's anything else here. Susan Lewis says, Gavin, if someone tried to sell this as a script, it would be rejected as unrealistic. It feels that way, doesn't it? Like, this is the strangest case. Just a sheriff murders. Well, I can't use the word murder because he hasn't been convicted of murder, but he definitely committed homicide. He killed another human being, and he did it on surveillance. So a county sheriff kills a sitting judge over what appears to be him being concerned about the well-being of his family, because he knows information about some crazy sex weirdness going on in the county jail. I think you're right. It's just nuts. It's just absolutely nuts. Tara says, Gavin, one of the insanity elements is not appreciating the difference between right and wrong. Yeah. And I think what they're going to say is that in that moment,
But did he feel that?
well, actually, he's going to expand on this. We're going to watch another video with Anjanette Levy here in just a bit, and he expands on this quite a bit. But the idea is that he was sleep deprived. He was worried about his wife and daughter. He just was not himself, and he just did it.
Or was the judge the one that could implicate him?
Janet says, Gavin, I really wonder if one or more of
well,
those little boys really did threaten him, his wife, and daughter.
how
Well,
far
according
power
to
is
what
to
Mr.
try to
Bartley
make it
just
go
said,
away
now,
or
again,
take a
like,
side.
it's not proof, right? But he's saying that there was a perceived threat and a real threat. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Rapunzel says, I'm the best of the best. Well, thank you very much. Jess says it was more of a smirk. Yes, it was. It was more of a smirk. And then he says, Gavin, but is there any evidence that the judge was doing that other than the statement from one of the plaintiffs? If there is, I have not seen it. I've not seen the evidence. Yeah. I wonder if they will let that out in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Lori Dean and Gavin, if there were videos from the judge's chambers, is it possible that some of them were used as blackmail or extortion? Well, yeah, I think if we're talking about videos of behavior that was happening in the judge's chambers, not videos from the surveillance camera that was put in there because of what was going on, right? Yeah, I think it's possible. Sure. Cassie, have there been accusations against Sheriff Steins? Accusations that he was part of this sex ring? The accusation that was made by Miss Sabrina Atkins and Ms. Jennifer Hill is that he either knew about it or he should have known about it. And those are the only accusations.
Just the deputy in his office.
This is the easiest hack in 2025 to clean your dog's teeth.
Best way to get rid of stinky dog breath? Crunchy veggies for natural cleaning? Nope. Green chews from the pet store? Nope. Daily toothbrushing battles? Nope. Hold on to your leash, because this one trick helps remove tartar and control plaque without a toothbrush or expensive teeth cleaning visits.
My dog's teeth were so rotten that even professional cleaning couldn't help, and we almost lost her until I found this dental miracle that saved my baby. Stella ran whenever I pulled out the toothbrush, but she'd take the green sticks, and I thought that was enough to keep her teeth clean. Then one day she wouldn't eat, whimpered when she tried to chew, even turned away from her favorite treats. Her breath reeked like rotten fish, and one tooth was dark brown. We got an emergency vet appointment, and he gave us the bad news. He told us he couldn't pull the tooth because putting her under might end her life. What's worse, we were lucky to get in because a nasty infection set up in her kidneys. Any longer without treatment, and Stella would have gone into kidney failure. Yes, dental disease can turn dangerous infections in vital organs and kill them. I felt so guilty for neglecting her teeth. I had no idea they could get this bad. We took her home and hoped for the best. I hid the meds in peanut butter and she ate it, but she'd hardly eat the wet food the vet gave us. She mostly lay there whimpering on her doggy bed. I couldn't bear watching her suffer, so I started searching online for anything. And I'm so glad I did, because I found a new study about doggy dental health that changed Stella's health for the better. It turns out there's a lot more to doggy dental health than just bad breath, and you don't need to spend thousands of dollars at the vet for traumatic tooth cleaning. See, doggy dental problems start with something researchers call leaky gums. Plaque buildup loosens gums so that bacteria gets trapped between the tooth and gum, rotting teeth at the root. But that's just the start of the problem, because when bad bacteria sets up shop in a dog's mouth, nasty bugs and toxins can travel through leaky gums to the bloodstream to wreak real havoc on your pet's health, leading to joint issues, eczema, kidney and heart disease, even early death. Toothbrushing, green treats, and dog chews aren't enough to seal leaky gums. Professional cleaning can cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and only lasts for a little while. And sedation can be dangerous for dogs with hidden health issues. The good news is there's a simple way to seal leaky gums on your own without daily brushing, green chews, or expensive dental cleanings at the vet. It's all thanks to one small change we made in Stella's daily feeding routine, a routine developed by a world-renowned vet named Dr. Randy Aronson. Dr. Randy has already helped thousands of dogs at his world-renowned Paws veterinary clinic in Tucson, Arizona. So I gave it a shot, and I'm so grateful I did. Within days of making this one change, Stella's bad breath disappeared, the tooth fell out on its own, and her gums stopped bleeding. She got her appetite and energy back, and in a few weeks, she was back to her normal, playful self, chewing on sticks, playing fetch, and licking her food bowl clean every night. And it's all thanks to adding this one small change to her food bowl every day. I just had to share my story because I don't want any other pet parent to go through what I did, especially when the fix is so simple. So if your puppy has bad breath, yellow teeth, or bleeding gums, it's not normal. In fact, it could be a sign of even worse health problems to come. Please help them out by watching this free presentation Dr. Aronson put together. You'll see exactly how this one small change to your dog's food bowl can seal off leaky gums, protect them from dangerous bugs, and keep their teeth and gums healthy and strong. So give your fur baby the happy, healthy long life they deserve. Click below to watch this short presentation. Not only could it save your dog's teeth, it could even save their life.
According to veterinarian Dr. Randy Aronson, the owner of the world-renowned Paws Veterinary Center in Arizona, there's an...
Yeah, no evidence. Autumn says, I get an off feeling from this attorney. I don't know. I feel like he's a pretty darn good defense attorney. I know that, or I understand that he's, bring them back up. This is their law office, Jeremy and Carrie Bartley. I understand that most of their practice is family law and personal injury law. That doesn't automatically mean that they're not well versed or couldn't be successful in some other part of the law, criminal law, especially when it comes to homicide. So I don't know if there's anything wrong with them. They just seem like polished attorneys to me, but that's just me. That's just me. I am, it's definitely possible that I am wrong. Meredith asked Gavin what happened to his family after he started steering the danger. I don't have an answer to that question. You know who would? We need to talk to Elizabeth. We gotta have her back on. We've been away from Nikki Steins for a while, so, and maybe we will have Elizabeth from Hillbilly Friends back on. She's always game. By the way, speaking of Elizabeth, she talked about it a little bit on her channel, so I'm comfortable talking about it, but I'm not going to give any details. But she obtained a video that depicts one of these powerful people. He could be a member of this good old boys group. If he's not, he's good old boys group adjacent. It's a very compromising video. There's no way we can show it on YouTube. No way we can show it on YouTube. So I think that stuff is going to be coming out. I think it's going to start rolling in. In fact, if you are in Letcher County, you can drop me files. You can drop me files. You can either use the link in the description below, or you can go over to my website, which is gavinfirst.com. There's also a link there. And if you go to this little button right here to contact me, you can attach files here and you can remain anonymous. So if you have anything that you want me to see, not that I really want to see that sort of stuff, but anything that might assist in proving the case of what has been going on there in Letcher County, I invite you to reach out. Have at it. As a journalist, I protect my sources. You can remain anonymous, but if you want to be off the record, reach out to me. That's two ways to do it. This way, or you can drop me a file, which is in the link below. Okay? Let me see if there's anything else before we go into... let's see. Was the judge married? Any kids? But we need to ask Elizabeth that, but I believe so. Yes. Real happy. Is Judge Mullins on tape? According to Sabrina Atkins, he is, but that tape has not come out. Meredith loves it when Elizabeth comes on. She's rad. She's awesome. Okay. And Robin says Gavin shenanigans is what's going on. All right. Let's I'm trying to think what I want to do next. Do we want to go to let's go to the document next, okay? Then we will finish out with Anjanette Levy. So let's come with me over here to my Acrobat. This is a file, or this is a notice that was filed in Letcher Circuit Court on the 5th, almost a week ago. It is filed by the defendant. Notice pursuing to RCR 8.07, support for participation in defense expert in any state-requested examination. So comes now the defendant, Sean Mickey Steins, by and through counsel, and hereby states as follows. A. Notice pursuant to RCR, I don't know, that must be rules of criminal whatever, 8.07. Defendant intends to present expert evidence relating to a mental disease or defect or mental condition bearing on the issue of guilt and punishment. The defendant intends to present a defense of insanity as well as a defense of extreme emotional disturbance. The undersigned counsel does not raise the issue of competency to stand trial. Now, remember back last month sometime, the judge in a hearing was asking, do we want to evaluate for competency? And they said back then, no, we don't have an issue of competency. We have an issue of insanity and extreme emotional disturbance. Part B, support for attendance of expert in the event that the Commonwealth elects to request an examination under this rule. Then the defendant is entitled to the participation of its expert in the Commonwealth's examination. This is not only permissible, but mandatory upon request. And then Kentucky Revised Statute is probably what that means. 504.0805 provides that an examiner retained by the defendant shall be permitted to participate in any examination under this chapter. Chapter 504 governs examinations for both for incompetency to stand trial and insanity. And then they support with case law in McCracken County Fiscal Court v. Graves, 1994. The Kentucky Supreme Court addressed the mandatory nature of the statutory right in finding that costs associated with the defense expert attendance during the state examination were reasonable. And then, I'll finish it. And the McCracken Court held, in view of this statute, we believe that whether a defendant avails himself of this opportunity is strictly a matter of legal strategy to be decided by defendant and his counsel. It is not a question for the defense expert to decide, nor is it a question for the trial court. The statute not only permits the defense expert to be present, but mandates that the expert's presence be allowed. In this case, Dr. Johnson was present at the defendant's interview with Dr. Skelton as provided by the statute. Evidently, the legislature envisioned circumstances in which a defense expert's presence at an interview with the opposing expert is important enough to provide for in the law. We are unwilling to uphold the trial judge's ruling that the defendant's availing himself what the law provides, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so wherefore the defendant respectfully submits the foregoing notice and support for attendance of expert pursuant to statute as well as the order of this honorable court. And it is signed by Jeremy Bartley, and it is he and his wife Carrie that are representing Mr. Stein. So getting back up here to the top, they're saying, hey, this is going to be an insanity defense, and we intend to present evidence that there was a mental disease or a mental defect, or at the very least, a mental condition bearing on the issue of guilt or punishment. So we will see what happens there. So see if you guys have any comments on that before we head over to Anjanette. Lori. That's pretty funny. It's a classic. Let's see if there's anything else out there. Patty says, Gavin, I love it when Elizabeth says, oh, fish, in her accent. I do too. That's pretty funny. Yeah, she's the best. She is the best.
Yeah,
Okay.
This was 4 days ago, 2 days
Let's
ago.
head
we
on
just-
over to the second video that I want to show you.
Insanity.
This one's a bit longer. This one's about 11 minutes. We'll probably pause as we go along and watch this one. Again, this is Jeremy Bartley. He is doing an interview with Anjanette.
Liberty Mutual is all she talks about since.
This was Benny Palatine. So he does good. Pretty good, I think. Oh, Benny does. He does a good job.
Judge in his chambers by the sheriff. This was not a whodunit, but was and is a why did he do it case. Here's the story. Whitesburg, Kentucky is a small rural community of under 2,000. Sextortion scandal. I think it's complicated, and I think
Trying to keep him getting caught.
we're going to try to get some sort of an answer to it tonight. Joining us for the entire hour, the defense attorney representing Sheriff Steins, Jeremy Bartley, is with us. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Vinny. It's nice to meet you.
Yep, I just want folks to know and everyone to know there's about a 2-second delay between the questions and answers, but that's okay. We'll work through it. So, how complicated is the answer to that question? Why?
Well, I hate to disappoint you, and I certainly hate to disappoint the viewers, but I don't think that we're going to get that full answer tonight, Vinny. It's extremely complicated. Look, this is not a simple case. This is not a case that is only told by the, 7 to 10 seconds that was shown at the preliminary hearing. The story is one that's told over a several-year period, and most especially and specifically, it is told over the weeks prior to that ultimate moment that you see there in the video.
Well, let me ask you this. Is part of the reason, or one of the driving factors, the mental health of Sheriff Steins?
Well, we believe so, and one of the things that we've talked about from the beginning is the fact that the first thing he said to the investigators was, I'm concerned that they were going to take or have taken my wife and daughter. We believe that Mickey believes strongly that his wife and daughter and family were in imminent danger. Now, we believe at the same time that the pressure and anxiety and other factors that I'm not going to discuss tonight, we'll leave that for another day, but we believe that his mental health had been impaired and certainly was accelerated due to this civil deposition.
So when you talk about the danger, and this, I want to clarify this, is this actual danger that his wife and daughter were in, or was it perceived danger in the mind of the sheriff, which may be suffering from some delusional thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So basically, I think there are 3 options here. Because without a doubt, enough witnesses had interacted with him and heard him convey the fact that he was afraid that others were going to cause him or his family harm. So you basically have 3 options. One, there was no objective threat, and this is all a complete fabrication within his own mind, that it's completely subjective. The threat is completely within his own mind. And then the second possibility is that there was someone around the corner and he was only perceiving an actual and objective threat. So under the first scenario, then I think we are certainly being prudent in exploring his mental health. And under the second scenario, then there certainly is a, another element of the case. But I think there's a third option. And according to our investigation and what we've seen, I expect it will be that the truth is a combination of both. I believe there was an objective threat to his family, but I believe that his mental health was impaired to a degree that it impacted his ability to perceive immediacy and, the imminent threat of that, the imminent nature of that threat, Vinny, as well as the magnitude. So I think that certainly the third option, according to what I have seen, is the most likely facts that you'll see at trial.
Now, there's a couple facts that from the beginning here, everyone has talked about, and you mentioned one of them, which was the statement, they're trying to kidnap my wife and my kid. That one you've covered. I want to get to another big factor that a lot of people were talking about being connected to the why. That statement he makes directly afterwards, but it seems from the testimony that we've heard, let's play it. Let's play the testimony from Clayton Stamper here, talking about a phone call that the sheriff made in the judge's chambers just before the shooting.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, $118.
I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
I have officers confirm that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
So that number had been called from Judge Mullins' phone,
yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, Jeremy, am I correct that the sheriff attempts to call his daughter from his own phone, then from the sheriff's phone? And if so, how is that connected to the shooting, again, the why of it? Because it seems if that's happening just before, it has to be connected.
Well, I think if you take a look at what the witnesses in the, specifically one witness that was with Mickey after the launch, but prior to the video that you're showing currently, he was describing his fear that someone was going to cause him or his family harm. And it appeared to this witness at first, he thought that, that Mickey was joking. And then he describes the fact that when he looked him in the eye, he realized that this was a very real threat to Mickey. He believed that this threat was there. And according to the evidence that they discussed at the preliminary hearing, he had attempted to contact his daughter and hadn't been able to get a hold of her. We believed he continued to attempt to get a hold of his daughter and was unsuccessful.
And when they're saying they, is there any indication who the they would be? Like, obviously the judge would be one of them because he is the target inside the chambers. But any idea who else would be connected? Is it other deputies? Is it other folks from the courthouse?
Well, we believe that there are a number of people who were very interested in the outcome of the civil deposition. We believe there are several people who were concerned about what might be revealed in those depositions. You know, and I really want to take a step back. The very fact that we even have a video within a judge's chambers that's running a live feed, that's completely unheard of. So the fact that we even have video cameras in this chamber signals the past problems that have been ongoing. And so I think that this is not limited to one person, but I believe that there are multiple people that were concerned about the outcome of the deposition, and even more importantly, Vinny, Mickey believed that there were multiple people that were concerned about what he might say at the deposition.
And what is the status of the evaluations, the mental health evaluations, both for criminal responsibility and for competency?
Yeah, so, we never asked that his competency be reviewed. Of course, competency is always at issue, and that is always subject to, to review, as you know, Benny, but for the viewers, the competency would refer to his ability to assist at trial and understand the nature of the proceedings. And at this point, we've informed the court that we don't have any reason to report to the court that we question his competency today. The real issue that we have raised is whether he was criminally responsible. And so generally, we would give the notice to produce that evidence at trial much later in the litigation process. However, in an effort to expedite his examination, which is inevitable, and now the Commonwealth has filed their notice that they intend to seek an examination by their experts. We filed the notice quicker because, and I don't think this is unique to Kentucky, but there's a backlog of cases. They've passed some recent legislation to try to speed up that process, but in general, you're seeing 12 to 18 months for individuals awaiting trial to be examined by the state's experts.
Wow.
So we hope it's a definite problem. It's a real issue that needs to be further addressed. The General Assembly has made some strides in that.
Okay. Let's do this, Jeremy. I hate to cut you off right here, but we've got you locked down for the whole hour, so we do appreciate that. Still to come, what was happening that day just before the shooting?
Come on now. Be fair to me.
We're being good to you, brother. You stick your leg up in there.
Come on now, guys. Please don't do this to me.
10:15, a dog who's heard barking.
This is the first case you'll ever hear that you've got to determine the time of death by a dog's wail.
There were no ring cameras. There were no cell phones to ping off locations. Was that white Bronco there at the time you drove by it?
I didn't see it.
There was one critical witness that was never called.
She saw OJ's white Bronco.
Trial and Error. Why did OJ win? A Court TV original series. New episode.
The average dog only lives to be 10. That's 10 birthdays, 10 first.
What was happening that day before the shooting? Again, we have all this video. You see some video there, but we have the video inside.
Left.
Come on now.
Try to scoot on over a little bit more. That way we don't hit you. Can you go any bit farther? I just want to hit you with the door. Put your knee in there, my friend.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Bates. Hey, Bates. Can we loosen this up a little or give the window down?
I'm sorry?
Can we loosen this up a little? Be fair to me, man.
That's Sheriff Steins after he surrendered himself almost immediately after the shooting. And he's in the back of the cruiser there, and you can hear his voice. We've been talking about that. But I want to focus on before the shooting. I want you to take a look at this video. This is from inside the chambers. And there's the sheriff, Mickey Steins, with his hands folded behind his back. You see the judge on the other side of the table in chambers. There's two other gentlemen there. There's other people that from time to time are walking in and out of this open door. But this is the scene of the murder. This is the scene of the murder. But what's going on here, right? Like, this is just a few hours before the shooting. And everybody looks normal here. We can't hear what they're saying, obviously. And all this brings us to the next question in our investigation. What was happening that day before the shooting? Again, we have all this video. You see some video there, but we have the video inside the chambers, which is the scene of the shooting. Still with us, the defense attorney representing Sheriff Steins, Jeremy Bartley. Jeremy, that meeting or that get-together in the chambers before lunch, what was going on there?
Well, the first thing that strikes me again, Benny, is the fact that we even have a live feed in a judge's chambers. That's the first thing that speaks to me. So in terms of the setting, the next thing that speaks to me is the informality. It's been my experience that even when even if I know a judge on a personal basis, there's a formality to a judge's chambers. There's in general, it's usually reserved for members of the bar. In general, there's some sort of decorum. I'm not saying that there aren't relaxed conversations, but the powwow that we see here is just indicative of the attitude that was reflected in these chambers. And it's the same atmosphere that allowed for the victimization of the females in those chambers. Specifically, we know Ben Fields has pled guilty to illegal sexual action within a judge's chambers. It's just unheard of. In general, you have to have permission from the judge to be in a judge's chambers. And again, there's a manner of decorum. And that's completely missing here. And I think that is what this video speaks to me. I know a lot can be made of, we can all try to interpret, there's no sound, we can try to interpret people's body postures and get into that debate. But to me, the bigger picture is the lack of respect for the seriousness of this chambers.
I understand what you're saying. My father was a judge, so I know exactly what you are speaking of. I want to do this. The lunchtime. So they leave the courthouse and there's a group that seems to be having lunch. I think it's called the Street Side Bar and Grill, which is just down the street. We have some video of folks walking down there. And I noticed that the sheriff is not with the judge on the way down there. But there is some interaction that we heard testimony about where the judge suggested to the sheriff that they have a private meeting and speak about something that they were discussing at lunch, speak about that in a private meeting. How significant is this lunchtime gathering and the discussion that happens at lunchtime relative to what happens later inside the chambers?
I don't think there's anything groundbreaking that took place during the conversations at lunch, and I think the witnesses have, they supported that fact. I will tell you that after they left for lunch, my client went to deliver food. It was something he would commonly do. He went with another gentleman that I referenced earlier to deliver food to some people who were indigent that needed help in that vein. And so there was a period of time after the lunch, but before presumably he arrives back in the video you're showing, that he went to make this food delivery with someone else. And there were some very interesting events that transpired during that delivery that I think will be more relevant than anything that was said at the luncheon.
And what would that be?
Well, I would just say I referenced it earlier, but I believe it is suffice to say that on the delivery there was an incident where our client was asked to deliver to another place that was not the normal place where he did the deliveries for this particular individual. And the witness will testify that at this point he was very concerned that there was an attempt to isolate him and to cause him harm.
This is eye-opening tonight. Jeremy Bartley is going to stay with us. We've got much more to get to. Still to come, was the illegal activity in the judge's chambers related to the shooting?
Hang on, bro, a second.
Autopilot mode enabled.
Appalachia is the part of eastern Kentucky where the towns are small, and the bailiff of Judge Kevin Mullins and worked under Sheriff Mickey Steins. That was a couple of years ago. But now everyone's taking another look at that case because something else happened in the judge's chambers. The judge was shot and killed, and Sheriff Mickey Steins is the one being charged with the first-degree murder of a public official. And almost everything that happened that day was caught on camera, both inside and outside the courthouse. And the case is now moving forward towards trial. There's a connection, right? There seems to be some sort of connection. Like, what are the odds that you'd have two serious incidents like this happening inside a judge's chambers? This is bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Now, let's get to this sextortion scandal, which in and of itself is a huge story. Here's the accuser. She was being interviewed, I believe this is by state police or the Attorney General's office, about what was happening in the chambers. And the man who did it, the deputy, feels he was convicted criminally and pleaded guilty, and he's doing time for that. But I want you to take a listen to what she describes about what was happening and who she says was involved.
This stuff right here fixed my back pain. Now check this out. I had cancer when I was younger, and I had to have a spinal fusion surgery, which means that part of my spine is fused and doesn't move. Now I have tons of inflammation, tons of pain. I always have, and it's been horrible. And I've tried for years, taking pills like Aleve, which don't fix the problem, they just mask it. And if you read the inside of the label, it increases your risk of heart attack and stroke, and it can damage your liver. So I can't take this every day. So I needed to find a solution that could fix my back pain for good. And it was this. It's called liposomal curcumin by Mana. And now curcumin is the active ingredient in turmeric. And turmeric is one of the world's most powerful anti-inflammatories. Now this company Mana took curcumin, the active ingredient, and made it nano-sized particles. So the absorption is off the charts high. Not only that, but it's liposomal. And liposomal vitamins absorb up to 500% better.
But he does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls, sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, and just him having sex with girls for the able to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
Now you saw the video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean,
I've seen Judge Mullins have sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know, because I don't know a lot of people from over.
Where was it at?
In his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same place that you were meeting Ben? Is that how you know it was the judge's chambers?
Yeah.
And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
Now, when she says the name Ben, that's the Deputy Fields, who's been convicted in all of this. Now, the judge was never accused in any of this, but it's his chambers. Brings us to the next question in our investigation, and this may be really the focus of and the reason everything is happening here. Was the illegal activity in the judge's chambers related to the shooting? That can't be a coincidence, can it? I think everyone's been talking about this from the beginning, because how could one not be related to the other? Here with us for the entire hour, the defense attorney representing Sheriff Steins, Jeremy Bartley, is with us. Jeremy, let me ask you an important question. I think this is significant. I think people don't necessarily know the answer to it. Was it just Deputy Fields, or were there others involved in this scandal?
In that particular lawsuit, the only person who was named as an actor, to my understanding, again, I wasn't involved as an attorney in that civil suit, but it's my understanding Ben Fields was the only one named in that particular case. However, there is this audio where other people's names were mentioned and referenced there.
So tell me, and I think we've been kind of talking about this throughout, because it's obviously a significant part of everything that happened here. The illegal activity in the judge's chambers, this sextortion, I call it, right? Extortion for sex. Is it related to the shooting? You said, you know, this has been going on for a couple of years. Well, you go back a couple of years, that's when this whole scandal sort of erupted. So are they related? If so, how from your perspective?
Well, I think one of the big focal points for this particular case, and we've said this before, is the deposition. The deposition that that Mickey was giving in that particular case was scheduled for Monday, and this happened on a Thursday. So just a few days prior was this deposition, and I think in the week prior to and the week of the deposition, lots of people noticed that Mickey had become more increasingly paranoid, that he became sleepless, had gone nights without sleep, and there was an overwhelming amount of pressure on him, some internal, but we believe there were external pressures as well, because there were a lot of things that happened within these chambers that during a deposition could be potentially fair game for questions. And not only at that deposition, but if the civil case continued, then in further discovery in that case. And I think there was a lot of interest by those people who populated the judges' chambers, for whatever reason, about what Mickey might say in those depositions. And I think that is certainly going to be a focal point of this trial.
So I'm trying to make sure I understand this correctly, that there's things that Mickey Steins knew about that could be potentially harmful to people's professions, reputations, perhaps their wallet, their freedom, that he knew about things that were taking place in the judges' chambers?
Well, I think that it would be highly unusual for someone who spent a significant amount of time around the courthouse to not observe things that that should not have occurred. And I think again, if you listen to Sabrina Atkins' interview, she mentions later on in that interview that she had fear for even given the statement that she was making, and she expressed concern during that interview. So there were a lot of people that were, that were sweating around the collar about what he might say there. And I think this pressure came crashing down on Mickey. And I think that it was an overwhelming amount of pressure. And I think there was, there was an objective threat to him based upon what he might say or not say, or might have already said or not said during the deposition. And I think you compound that with the fact that there is a mental health issue as well. And I think that what you see in the chambers in that video is a result of a combination of those factors.
I want to play another piece of that audio because this part of the audio, a lot of people are wondering if there's any truth to it, and you may be able to answer that. Let's listen.
Savings you just can't beat. Oh, this orange is gross.
Going into an office, working 50 hours a week, having that structure. I knew that I wanted more. My name is Charlotte Reese, and I am the owner of VVF Margot. We specialize in selling traditional and authentic French homewares. I run my business online with Wix, with a fully operating warehouse in Dallas, Texas, while I live here in France. The biggest challenge going from a corporate world has been the balance. I wanted to set my own hours. I wanted to be my own boss.
you saw the video of the judge. Any other videos that you actually saw?
No. They say that the Sheriff Mickey Steins is involved. I don't know.
Who said that?
Chad. He said he had videos with Mickey. That Mickey used to do the same thing when he was over house arrest.
So, Jeremy, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to that because we've heard this. Mickey Steins, was he involved in any of this?
You know, I've not seen any evidence of that. I've not seen anyone that has produced a tape of either my client, and candidly, nor the video that they reference concerning the judge. You know, I've not seen any evidence that supports those allegations against my client.
Let me ask you about this trial when it happens, right? How much of the trial will be about this sextortion scandal versus the shooting of the judge? How do you see that, you know, coming out in court in front of the jury?
Sorry about that, Judge.
Well, I mean, at this point, I don't really want to get into some of our trial strategy as far as how that might play out. But I will say that it would be difficult to understand Mickey Steins, you know, his mental status at the time this occurred without understanding the background in the days prior and in the weeks and months prior. I think that they're going to be difficult to be, you know, removed from one another. I think they're intertwined, and I think that, you know, they are relevant to the case at hand.
Is there a chance that this can be worked out in any way without a trial?
Well, ultimately, I think that any attorney worth their salt would explore every option with their client should that be the case. I will say that, you know, that would ultimately be the client's decision. We believe that you advise of the offer, and we believe the rules require that we communicate that. But I will say we feel very strongly in our mental health defense, as well as, you know, the evidence, I think, supports our theory of the case, and I believe that we have a strong case to put in front of the jury. But to say would we entertain that? I think certainly you have to. The rules require that you entertain an offer of settlement, but none of those discussions have taken place, and you know, that's within the purview of the prosecutor, and we've not heard anything in that regard.
All right. You know, I know the sheriff's in good hands. You just listen to the carefully chosen words of Jeremy Bartley. He's been doing this a long time. He knows what he's talking about, providing us information tonight that we did not know before, but not crossing the line. Still to come, what was the history between the judge and the sheriff?
The next thing they heard is gunshots.
Grieving widow or mastermind behind a murder.
Monica Cimentelli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Famed celebrity hairstylist Fabio Cimentelli.
Prosecutors say she and her lover killed Fabio to collect a big life insurance policy.
The defense may say she's a bad woman, but she wouldn't be involved in a murder.
It's a whodunit Hollywood story, but will there be a twist that no one sees?
The celebrity stylist murder trial.